Carbon is the chemical element with symbol C and the atomic number 6. As a member of group 14 on the periodic table, it is non-metallic and tetravalent, making 4 electrons available to form covalent chemical bonds. General information of carbon. History and the etymology. The English name carbon comes from the Latin carbo for coal and charcoal, and hence comes from the French carbon, meaning charcoal. Carbon was discovered in prehistory and was known in the forms of soot and charcoal to the earliest human civilizations. In 1772, Antoine Lavoisier showed that diamonds are a form of carbon. When he burned samples of carbon and diamonds, then showed that neither produced any water, and that both released the same amount of carbon dioxide per gram. Carl Wilhelm Scheele showed that graphite, which had been took over the form of lead, was instead a type of carbon. Allotropes of carbon. Atomic carbon is a very short-lived species, and therefore carbon is established in various multi-atomic structures with different molecular configurations called allotropes. Diamonds are formed when very pure carbon is subjected to high temperatures and very high pressure. Diamond is very brittle, and it is the hardest substance known with the possible exception of boron carbide B40. Carbon is inert to all chemicals at ordinary temperature, but burn when heated in air or oxygen. Graphite. The carbon vapor that is formed condenses as graphite. Graphite, also called plubago or black lead, is distinctly different in crystalline form and physical properties from diamond. It is a soft, greenish black solid that crystallizes in hexagonal plate with a metallic luster and that conduct electricity. Under some conditions, carbon crystallizes as lanthanide. This form is similar to diamond but has a hexagonal crystal lattice. Amorphous carbon. The amorphous form is an assortment of carbon atoms in a non-crystalline, irregular, glassy state which is essentially graphite but not held in crystalline. It is present as a powder and is the main constituent of substances such as charcoal, lamplight, and activated carbon. Fullerenes. Fullerenes have a graphite-like structure, but instead of purely hexagonal packing, they also contain pentagons of carbon atoms, which bend the sheet into spheres, ellipses, or cylinders. The properties of fullerenes have not yet been fully analyzed and represent an intense area of research in nanomaterials. Carbon nanotubes. Carbon nanotubes are structurally similar to buckyballs, except that each atom is bonded trigonally is a curved sheet that forms a hollow cylinder.
Diagram of the carbon cycle. The black numbers indicate how much carbon is stored in various reservoirs in billions of tons. GDC stands for gigatons of carbon. Figures are circa 2004. The purple numbers indicate how much carbon moves between reservoirs each year. The sediments, as defined in this diagram, do not include the 70 million of gigatons of carbon of carbonate rock and kerogen. Under terrestrial conditions, conversion of one element to another is very rare. Therefore, the amount of carbon on Earth is effectively constant. Thus, processes that use carbon must obtain it somewhere and dispose of it somewhere else. The paths that carbon follows in the environment make up the carbon cycle. For example, plants draw carbon dioxide out of their environment and use it to build biomass, as in carbon respiration or the Calvin cycle, a process of carbon fixation. Some of this biomass is eaten by animals, whereas some carbon is exhaled by animals as carbon dioxide. The carbon cycle is considerably more complicated than the short loop. For example, some carbon dioxide is dissolved in the oceans. That plant or animal matter may become petroleum or coal, which can burn with the release of carbon, should bacteria not consume it.
Carbon compound. Carbon has the ability to form very long chain of interconnecting CC bonds. This property is called kinetation. Carbon-carbon bonds are strong and stable. This property allows carbon to form an almost infinite number of compounds. In fact, there are more known carbon-containing compounds than all of compounds of the other chemical elements combined except those of hydrogen. The most prominent oxide is carbon dioxide.
Some applications of carbon: pencilite for mechanical pencil, sticks of wind and compressed coal, a cloud of woven carbon filaments, silicon carbide single crystal, tungsten carbide milling bits.
Silicon is the most common metalloid. It is a chemical element which has the symbol SA and atomic number 14. General information of silicon. Physical properties of silicon. Most stable isotopes of silicon.
Silicon compounds. Silicon forms binary compounds called silicides with many metallic elements whose properties range from reactive compounds, example magnesium silicate.
Different forms of silicon. Silicon powder, granular silicon, polycrystal silicon, silicon monocrystal, nanocrystalline silicon, silicon ingot.
Some application of silicon.
Germanium is a chemical element with a symbol Ge and atomic number 32. It is a lustrous, hard, grayish-white metalloid in the carbon group, chemically similar to its group neighbors tin and silicon. Germanium has 5 naturally occurring isotopes ranging in atomic mass number from 7C to 76. It forms a large number of organometallic compounds, including tetraethyl german and isobutyl german. General information of germanium. Germanium's characteristics. Under standard conditions, germanium is a brittle, silvery white, semi-metallic element. This form constitutes an allotrope technically known as beta-germanium foams, which has the same structure as beta-tin, along with silicon, gallium, bismuth, antimony, and water. It is one of the few substances that expands as it solidifies from its molten state.
The main use of germanium